We got some open field gameplay with 5 archer marches as I'm playing always. We already have 27.5 million merits, which means we have already having the highest amount of merits in a single KVK, and of course we are going to try to get even more, right? As always, I'm gonna introduce you with my 5 archer marches. It's not the finalized build, but slowly we are actually getting there, right? The first one is Ruby and Freigar. My island is not ready yet to be used. The second hero pair is Falgrim and Nico with the Barbed Manticore. We finally got 3-star Barbed Manticore. The third hero pair, which is basically the strongest hero pair which I have in the game, is Magrat and Zaida. And why it's so strong? Because my Shadow Manticore has the highest amount of 3-star skills, which I have out of all warpets in the game. The fourth hero pair, which is Indecent Ara, basically my support march, in order for me to get some healing, some attack, some defense reduction. Of course, I have been playing with Indecent Ara for a long time with a pretty huge success. And the last hero pair, my first ever legendary hero awakened, which is Kinara. And Kinara and Musiang with the Snow Peak Rock. Of course, this hero pair is basically debuffer, healing reduction, and of course some skill damage, which Kinara and Musiang, both of them actually have, right? Regarding this KVK, we are basically winning the KVK so far. Our allies are getting the dragon, which means, well, whoever is allied with them is winning the KVK, right? So far we are top 2, sometimes top 1, top 2 in terms of merits in the whole alliance, and of course we're gonna try to get even more, right? Here, of course, this fight is regarding Necrogiant. We took our attention towards the final zone. We secured the final zone, and right now we are just basically getting back what was ours, right? When we took our attention towards the final zone, we did not really take care about Giant, and of course for the rewards, everybody is of course waiting for the end of the KVK, and we are trying our best to get the Yggdra crystals from the KVK achievement system, which is pretty good, right? As always, I want to speak regarding the new archer heroes, Ruby and Kylan. A lot of players, even some experienced players, actually said that Magrat and Zaida is still the best hero pair for archer gameplay. I would totally disagree. Especially in open field PvP, Ruby and Kylan is better. They are dealing more damage, they are dealing AoE damage, and of course, whenever you are fighting against multiple targets, and whenever Ruby is basically throwing out some extra normal attacks, it's basically hitting multiple targets, and that's how you are getting merits in Call of Dragons. Basically, we know that because mages, like whole mage gameplay, is centered around AoE damage. Actually, I was never ever expecting that we would get archer heroes with the AoE damage dealing abilities, but yeah, it is the reality. We got it, and it makes me think that this hero pair will be the meta hero pair for archer gameplay for a long time, right? Some people thought that Magrat and Zaida would still be the best because it's an easy way of saying nothing actually changed, because if you say that something changed, you have to explain what changed, right? Why Magrat and Zaida is not the best one and why Ruby and Kylan is the best one, right? Hopefully, after watching my videos with my 5 archer marches, I will try my best to give you the examples of Ruby and Kylan. At first, Ruby being really strong, right? Of course, my Ruby is not awakened yet. She is 553, which means we basically need 2 more levels in order to awaken Ruby, and then I will start working on Kylan, right? Now, regarding the new warpet, which we have in the game, which is the Wind Whistle. This warpet, it's a control warpet, but that control warpet is actually dealing huge amount of damage in open field PvP, especially with extra normal attack damage with Ruby is giving to our opponents, right? With those extra normal attack damage, your warpet is going to proc the talent skill more often, so basically If you are using Wind without Ruby or even Kylan, you are making a big mistake, right? Of course, I have seen a lot of players comparing 3-star Shadow Manticores to 1-star Wind Weasel or 2-star Wind Weasel. We should not really actually do that because stars actually matter in Call of Dragons. You should always compare the same amount of star war pets in terms of damage, healing, and so on, right? Of course, if you are looking at Wind Weasel and the Ruby and Kylan having no healing at all, that's the playstyle Ruby and Kylan will do. Basically, you won't gonna heal too much, you won't gonna survive too much the fights, because even those extra normal attacks will give you a lot of counter attack damage back to yourself. Basically, Ruby and Kylan is full damage, right? Ruby Kylan with the Roaring Rager and with the Wind Weasel, basically your main idea is to deal as much damage as possible, right? And hopefully, with my playstyle of healing towards our opponents in general, the reason why I have Indecent Tara is just to get more heals, to stay alive longer in open field PvP, which will basically generate more and more merits, right? I got asked many times how I'm managing to get such a big amount of merits in open field PvP, and my answer have been same for a long time. Basically, it depends on your positioning, right? Where you are standing, are you looking around the map in open field PvP? Are you predicting the infantry player's blinks? So basically, if you want to be a good archer player, you kinda have to play with archers all the time. You will understand the range, you will understand the patterns of infantry players, and it will be easier and easier for you to play with those archers. Of course, in order to fully utilize the archer gameplay, basically, you have to have a lot of troops, right? That's why determining what's your main troop type in the game and investing your speed ups for the army recruitment for your desired troop type is mandatory, not only regarding heroes and artifacts, especially for troops, right? Since we all know that I am archer player, archer main, I have 2.2 million normal archer troops, and I have 1.4 million wyverns, right? Which are still tier 4. I actually already can't even wait until I'm gonna make my wyverns tier 5. It will be a big boost towards the account, right? So basically, the secret of successful archer gameplay is understanding when to move forward, when to escape, and in general positioning, right? Unfortunately, those kind of skills doesn't really come by itself. You have to be playing with archers, right? If you are not playing with archers, it will be impossible for you to get used to, like for range, for example, or infantry player movements and so on, right? Even for myself, if I don't have infantry players around from my alliance, I'm not fighting, I'm not moving forward, I'm just playing defensive, I'm just trying to target opponents' infantry players. Basically, I'm trying to avoid the risk which will take if I don't have infantry, right? Because if you don't have infantry, unfortunately, I have no idea why you are playing archers or even mages, because it's basically impossible to be successful as an archer player or even mage without infantry players. So, your main ways of fighting as a ranged player is basically during the wars, right? If you want to be like 1 versus 1 duel player, for example, or you want to be moving around the battlefield freely with the high amount of march speed, unfortunately, mages and archers is not your type of gameplay, which means you won't gonna be successful, you won't gonna have fun in Call of Dragons if you are different kind of player and you are playing with ranged players. Of course, today, for example, I got asked in comment section by the viewer, I'm a free-to-play player, low spender, which troop type should I focus, right? And my answer was simple: ranged troops, mages or archers, and let me explain you why, right? Whenever you are playing with melee units, such as infantries, cavalry, even if you are doing well, and even if your infantries and cavalries are giving a good amount of merits, it's basically impossible to generate a lot of merits without resource healing, right? if you are not healing with resources, your infantry and cavalry gameplay will be a questionable, right? Because basically, you won't gonna have enough healing for melee gameplay in order for you to be successful, right? That's why using mages or even archers is a great choice, because yeah, I know you will still have a lot of troops in your hospital by the counter-attack damage from the infantry players, but it's totally different. Let's not even compare infantry moving in or cavalry rushing towards opponents and ranged players dealing damage, right? Let's not even compare. It's totally different gameplay. And that's why in Call of Dragons, if you are a free-to-play player or low spender, my advice would be to go with the ranged troops, mages or archers, right? The difference is huge regarding range. For example, mages are having higher range, archers are having more damage in general and more tankiness, right? Of course, if you ask me which one is harder, of course harder is archer gameplay, because you have to get used to the low range and low move speed, right? And yeah, I know for mages also having low amount of march speed in the game, but having low amount of march speed and having also low amount of range in the game is basically different gameplay, right? That's why, in my opinion, if you are free-to-play player or low spender, you have only two choices, mages or archers. Also, as I mentioned in the past videos, whenever you are upgrading your heroes, you have to understand which hero pairs are best hero pairs for a current troop type, right? In every single troop type, in cavalry, in archers, in mages, not every single hero is good. There are some heroes which are basically OP and some heroes which are average, right? For the archer gameplay, as I mentioned, Magrat and Zaida and Ruby and Kylan is the best choices. And for the mages, I believe Lilia, I believe Thea, I believe Mu Xiang, and also the Yungming and Gromara. Those are the heroes which are the best one for mages. So if you are investing your legendary tokens in something else, like Bertrands, like Tohars, if you are using him in open field, you are making a big mistake, right? Because it's impossible in Call of Dragons to have the amount of legendary tokens which we all want, because legendary tokens are the rarest reward in Call of Dragons. That's why understanding which heroes are good, which heroes you have to invest is mandatory, right? And in order for me to help you out, guys, I have a separate playlist for every single topic. Playlist for heroes, playlist for war pets, playlist for tips and tricks, separate playlist for only gameplay, for you to choose the content which will give you the best ideas possible from my channel. And hopefully you guys are utilizing with the content, because yeah, I'm trying my best to show that even though archers are hard, it's still possible to get a lot of merits in this game, right? In past 3 or 4 KVKs, I'm finishing the whole KVK with 20 plus million merits, and so far my healing, which is resource healing in the game, is just 1 million, which means I got 27 million merits and I only healed 1 million tier 4 Wyvern troops, which is a pretty good success and pretty good achievement, right? I was trying my best to not resource heal, especially tier 5 troops, because I know how expensive they are in terms of resources, and it was a nice test from me. It turns out that it's possible to actually fight with archers without spending a lot of resources in your troops for healing, right? Now, of course, at the end of the video, I'm gonna show you the resource healing which I have done in this game, and hopefully it will be a good amount, and it will be another example why you have to look at the positioning rather than just some details, right? Even though my artifacts are not the best ones, I don't even have exemplar wish artifact so far, but still I believe we are doing fine. I will try my best to get 30 million merits in open field PvP, and yeah, it will be a great achievement. It will be my highest amount of merits which I have done in Call of Dragons, right? I believe my marchers are really low HP. Let's just be a little bit aggressive here. Maybe I will be able to deal damage to mages, but yeah, it is impossible. So let's move back. We are low HP. We won't gonna deal too much damage, right? Let's check out the reports, right? 109k merit from Magrat and Zaida, 45k from the Ruby and Freygar, 54k from the Inara and Musiang, 47k from Falgrim and Nico. And unfortunately, buffs does not show up in merit score, 40k in Dissentara. And yeah, since it's a yellow merit, still pretty good achievement, right? Of course, I did not forget that I have to show the healing which I have done. 1 million resource healing only for tier 4 wyverns. Other than that, I have never done in this KVK resource healing with tier 5 troops, which is a huge information you guys should take, right? Because it's possible to play Call of Dragons with without resource healing by free elixir production, right? Thanks for watching. I hope if you like the video, you're gonna press like, subscribe, share. It will give me more and more motivation to make more content for this game. I wish everybody an amazing day, morning and night. We are going to see each other really soon. Bye bye and good luck.